Welcome back. We are really sorry about the interruption. As you mentioned, we were trying a couple new things out tonight. We're not sure exactly what it was, but we think that we have fixed the problem, and it is good to be back once more. And again, very sorry about the interruption. I do not know where we got cut off specifically on the stream, so I'm going to just mention what exactly it was that was going on, which was that the four of you are standing at these, I was kind of describing the adventure, so the four of you are standing at these portholes and looking out, seeking out using the sort of large spotlight that's on top of the submarine that you're traveling in. You're looking for the ruins of a sunken ship, and the individual that wants to find this very particular sunken ship is a dragonborn. He has only introduced himself to you by the name Admiral. That's just what he's been having you guys call him, as Admiral, and he's at the kind of front, the helm of this particular submarine, a very strange kind of undersea vessel that probably none of you have seen before, as he claims that this is his own sort of invention, this very deep sea travel-oriented water vehicle, and he's at the helm waiting for any of you to spot the wreckage that you're looking for.
I don't even know how I got convinced to come down here. I can't even swim.
I am also not exactly sure how I was led down here.
Alright, so all of you have never been on a boat before? You've never been in water before?
I've been on a
Neither of you.
boat, but mostly stationary, and I've never been underwater like this, and oh dear, getting a little queasy. No, okay, that's just gas.
A stationary boat is an island, sir.
Well, you've seen the boats at docks, you know the ones that never move.
I usually don't go anywhere except my room in the academy.
As you guys are sort of having this conversation, you're also kind of scanning out into the darkness, looking for, some glimmer of what you're looking for. I'd like you all to just roll me, actually, I want all of you roll me perception checks.
I'm too busy trying not to get sick.
Very well.
These goddamn glasses keep on fogging up.
Cyron and Vivian, the two of you, as you're kind of scanning the darkness of the deep ocean, both of you see, well, a couple of things. One, you've been at this for quite some time now. This is getting on to, the better part of a 6-7 hour dive that you're in the midst of, as you're just down here, searching for hours on end. But you see, well, the signs of wreckage. You see what appears to be a sunken ship kind of within this craggy sort of crevice that you're slowly moving down in. And you also see something else in the distance, as the light just kind of barely catches it. It's not too far away from you, just kind of close enough to make you feel uncomfortable. You see something very, very big move.
Ooh, did you see that?
Say what? He's looking at
the big thing, and the wreckage.
He's got like this miniature mirror out, and he's checking his mustache and like combing it slightly.
I use my cantrip prestidigitation to fog up the mirror.
How dare you!
You watch the sudden fog comes over the mirror as Vivian kind of waves his hand.
Do you not understand that McTunington's stash has been passed down through the family for generations?
Oh god, I got my glasses. I can't see.
And you hear kind of the sound of footsteps on the kind of metal interior of the submarine as the submarine kind of grinds to a halt, and the dragonborn figure, who you've, like I said, his name is Admiral, kind of walks up to you and he goes, "My apologies. Did you tell me that we have found our location? Why was I not informed sooner that you have seen the site of the wreckage?"
Yes, it's here, sir. I go over to the porthole and kind of, point out, and like, can you see it right there? It's on the horizon right there in the crevice.
We're here? I did not know.
This is a wonderful day. I'm very happy to have found this place. I've been looking for it for quite some time, you see. I did not have the means until recently. This took me many years to put this thing that you now stand in together.
What is this thing?
the personal term that I made up for it, I call it a submarine. Are you familiar with the submarine sandwich? It is very popular, and I named it as such because it has a very similar shape to the submarine sandwich.
Is the sandwich made out of metal?
The sandwich is not made of metal. It's just this long ovular shape that I thought was very fitting for the name.
Is this made of bread?
The sandwich is made of bread, and there's generally inside of it some meats and cheeses. But that is very much aside the point. We have business to do, no?
Can we just stay in here?
Of course.
I feel like you're going to want me to leave. Can we not?
Yeah, you know what? You can stay here and learn from me. I'm clearly the better wizard here. You just watch me work. You can pick up on yourself, right?
I think that was a challenge, young one.
Oh no,
it wasn't a challenge. It's a learn opportunity.
And I also heard one of you mention some kind of large monster, something along those lines.
No, not really a monster, like a figure, like it could be a whale or a kraken.
Oh, well, krakens are the kind of things that you would normally encounter down here.
I'm a wolf whale. I like whale better.
I didn't quite hear what you said there, Simon. What was that?
I said, we don't really know what it is. All we know is that it's large.
Yes. These kind of things are common, but you do not need to fear those particular obstacles on this particular expedition. And he starts kind of walking you down the length of the submarine. It's fairly long. The entirety of the boat. It's about like a couple hundred feet, this particular thing, and he starts walking you to the far end, and he points at something on the inside of the submarine here. It looks kind of similar to what you would call a satellite dish, and it's just kind of making a very low kind of bing, bing, noise. He goes, you see, this particular thing, I call it radar. It is sending out a very powerful high-frequency signal around us, and that will ward off any of the ancient beasts that lurk.
It looks like a game. How do you play?
I call it a binger, because it goes bing, bing, it's a binger.
I did not think of that name. My naming conventions are not very good. Perhaps I could learn from you someday on this particular.
I don't know how to speak Draconian. I know how to, speak not Draconian.
Yes, of course. Well, Draconian names, it is not a Draconian name. The name was meant to sound good even in common, but that is my deepest apologies. So, and he kind of points over, and you can feel now the boat is kind of sinking lower, and you can see amongst it there's more of these sort of bioluminescent creatures that are kind of floating around the water, and it gives a very sort of eerie light that kind of flits through the windows of the submarine, in addition to the very sort of cold electrical light within it. And the submarine is kind of slowly sinking. It seems at this point going by some sort of instructions of its own. Within that sunken ship, it is, well, a ship that was captained by one of my ancestors. Within it, what you will find is a very well-constructed obsidian chest. I need you to bring me this chest. It contains, well, documents very important to my family history. Not necessarily anything that is, along the lines of treasure, per se, but it was also a merchant vessel, so there's very possibly treasure within it as well. Anything that you find within, and if you could not tell, I'm going to need you to go in and retrieve it yourself. I need to be out here operating the submarine, or I will join you.
Okay, so like deeds, wills, documentation.
Indeed, deeds, wills, documentation, journals, things along the lines of that I would like to recover from my...
Wait, journal isn't books, right?
I suppose if you want to consider a journal a book, one could.
Oh my.
Well, all I can say is you may not call it treasure, but it is family, and family is treasure.
I could not agree more, my friend.
That is really cheesy.
That is for you to believe. And if you find within any additional things that could more traditionally be referred to as treasure, you may keep them. I do not have any desire for them.
All right. Do you have anything we can use to go out there? I mean, I don't know about you three, but I can't exactly breathe underwater for very long. Or at all, really. I can hold my breath for maybe 5 minutes.
I can't really swim.
Well, that will,
I can throw ice.
that is going to be probably very useful. The fact that you cannot swim will be an absolute burden, and you probably will die as a result of it, but I understand that is fine for you Bartholomew's adventures.
What?
At this point, you see him kind of pulling out of this kind of heavy metal locker these sort of suits. It does not matter if you could breathe underwater, because the pressure at this depth will kill you very quickly, regardless of the lack of oxygen for those who do not breathe it. So if you could all man these suits, and we will get you, well, right into the wreckage, and you can find my chest.
Don't worry about your float.
Oh, suits. Wonderful. I will try this on.
Do you have a plus-sized one? This looks a little tight.
They just freaking laugh.
Looks, I was not planning on one of your particular size. You may just have to squeeze, huh?
Oh, no.
And you kind of like pull it up over, and yeah, it's a bit uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable for all of you, as these suits are not really, they're not really designed with comfort in mind. Very clearly, they're all function. But for you in particular, Bioshi, it's a little bit too snug, and.
It is quite snug for me as well, as I am actually quite muscular.
Vivi is pretty skinny. Is it like, kind of big on him?
It's a little bit, it's a little bit awkward. Parts of the kind of the folds of the suit are, baggy and kind of hanging limp. And he sort of speaks to you now and says, moves you into another chamber. He has to undo kind of what appears to be a water lock or pressure lock on this particular part of the sub, and you can kind of hear he moves you into it and opens it, and says, "You'll see on the wall there an orb that is the latest in the technology in the underwater travel by those of the Titanic. What you can do is plug your suits into it via these cords and tubes that he's going to give you now, and he kind of like latches all of you into it. And you will have a radius to travel into the wreckage approximate to the length of this particular tube. It is pretty long, and it's also monitoring the pressure of your suits. So if this cord is severed, you will die nearly instantly, so please keep that in mind. They're also all equipped with headlamps for those of you who are incapable of seeing in darkness, such as myself."
And myself. I am not very good in the dark.
Haha, suck it, nerds, dark vision.
That is one of the advantages, I suppose, of being an elf, but can you breathe acid? I cannot do. I was going to show it off, but we're in a submarine, and we would also...
Probably not a good idea.
Can fix that.
If we need light, I can produce it. Don't worry.
I mean, the headlamps also produce it, so let's just take those.
Well, I
they're
haven't
built in-
changed the lights in my room for years, so I suppose I'm used to the dark.
The headlamps are built into the suits, so you do not need to make a decision on whether you take them. You can just turn them on and you will have the light. So, he kind of... I will depressurize the chamber, pressurize the suits, and then you will go down and find what you have. You bring me the obsidian chest. I want the entire chest. Do not open it. It will destroy what is inside. It is watertight, so that in the event of the ship crash, it could be recovered. That is the forethinking of my ancestors that I respect so much.
Your ancestors were very smart, dragon.
Why didn't they equip a floating device to it?
It's very
It's
difficult to float
obsidian, idiot.
It's a chest. They wouldn't want anybody to just come along and pick it up.
Then why are you saying us to do it?
And as you're having that kind of conversation, you hear the sound of the sound of the chamber you're in. Your suits, all of a sudden, there's kind of like a tenseness in your ears, and the suits kind of swell up a little bit.
I can breathe a little.
Yeah, it's a little bit better, and you start to hear kind of a siren of, and within this
I think the
space,
ship is sinking.
slowly the walls start to pour water, filling up the chamber fairly slowly until you are completely submerged, but you are all able to breathe very comfortably. The air is maybe not the best kind of...
Don't panic, blah!
Oh no!
Oh dear, oh no.
He's dry heaving. He's dry heaving. He's not he didn't have any kind of lunch, so
Everyone's
he's...
already out of his system from earlier in the early in the trip, I imagine.
Yes.
That would have been some bad time. And you are now freely kind of floating in the water. You can see the big sub up above, and you are welcome to proceed. Below you, you can see the wreckage. It's a pretty large ship. It seemed like like something like a government or a military vessel. It seems to have like 3 or 4 floors. The sail is kind of bent and broken. There are various cracks in the wood along the top of it. How would you all like to proceed?
Hey, Bio.
I'm kind of stuck here. Can you guys help me a little?
If I die, it's your fault. So I'm going to use my cantrip mage hand to kind of like push him along the water.
All right, yeah, you're kind of helping. You're sort of helping Bioshi as you're navigating through the ocean via the mainland.
I'm turning on my headlamp and looking around as we go towards the ship.
Very good. The main kind of lights of the submarine are focused on it, giving you a good view from the top. And like I said, you can see the scene that I described, but once you get in, you can tell it's going to be pretty much pitch black. So that'll be good to have. You kind of start moving and slowly swimming downwards. The fish that are here, anything that you catch in the headlamp, everything looks very pale in color. Sickly is the term that you would use, but they just, if anything, are probably just adapted to this very low depth. And you work your way down. There are a few different kind of, as you get to the top of the ships, kind of ways you could enter. You see like a big kind of large crack that's just on the top of the hull of the ship, and a couple on the sides closer to the bottom. You also see a door that is kind of loosely hanging ajar over by where, where you would usually expect like the captain's quarters to be on the ship.
Well, that's the first place I'm going to check.
Boy, see the door on the port bow?
It's obsidian. It probably sunk.
There is
no shit.
On the port bow.
Still, we should probably check the captain's quarters first.
Well, I don't exactly have a choice.
In there.
Snooty's already walking towards it.
All right, so yeah. Snooty's kind of swimming along up ahead, you can see. Snooty, it's also very tight on you with your very large muscular form as you're kind of pushing through the water, now getting kind of adapted to the weirdly high pressure, kind of strange environment that you're now finding yourself in.
It oddly enough feels like I can fly.
Oh, you never felt flying before. Flying and falling off a cliff, just, left fast.
I have been in one of those aerocrafts before. I visited the gnomish kingdoms of the Trigger Gnomes.
It's called a skyship, not an aero machine or whatever you call it.
I will call it what I please.
You say as you kind of pressed through into this open door. It just kind of creaks and then just rots and falls off as you apply like any pressure to it with your strength, Snooty. And you can see before you, the ship's at an angle, a little bit kind of tilted. So as you enter into the space, you can see before you a door leading a little bit farther in. That's also, rotting pretty heavily, but it looks like it was closed at the time that the ship sunk. And you can see kind of stairs leading down into what would be the cabins and the rest of the ship.
Alright, I will carefully enter and look around and see if there is anything of value or that might hint at the location of the obsidian chest.
Alright, yeah, in this space all you can see is the stairway leading down and the door across from you.
Alright.
Well, you first, Mr. Lord Prince whatever.
Lord Snooty McTiddington III, thank you very much.
Alright, I'm going to call
go?
you Footy Titty, I don't even know.
You're welcome.
And as you're speaking, you're also kind of finding that your voices are getting a little bit muffled, and they're projecting through kind of internal, it looks like communication devices that are in the helmets themselves.
I should have got the cantrip message.
Which way are we going?
Just down the stairs.
Down the stairs?
Down the stairs. Just down the stairs. Downwards.
Right.
You start swimming down.
Yes. Being very careful, looking before I leap.
Alright, go ahead and make a perception check.
15.
Alright, cool.
All of us are just him.
If anyone else wants to, Snooty's probably has the best vantage point as he's right now in the front. The headlamp kind of lighting up the interior of the space, but all of you can make one if you so wish to do so.
I don't really have anything better to do. I can't exactly move.
By the way, do we have any of our weapons?
Yeah, you have your equipment. I'm assuming you're holding them in like your gloved hands.
Yes,
outside
I'm
of the,
using my
outside of
stick
the
to
suit.
kind of like jab forward.
Hey,
As I'm doing
Vivian,
this.
do you mind
What?
turning me
My
around?
cape.
What? Wait, you got backwards?
Yeah, and you see Bioshi kind of like awkwardly floating in space.
Okay,
like,
come
looking
on.
further away.
I kind of like take my, I guess my hands, like like the suit hands, just kind of push them inward.
All right, yeah.
The right
Bioshi kind of
direction.
like you get like spun around a couple times, but like the momentum ends up carrying you in like a couple of full circles, and you're a little dizzy as you're kind of moving forward. You don't see anything, but everyone else, as you're moving into this next chamber, you can see this appears to be just like sort of rows of rooms, and these appear to be cabins on this particular level of the ship as you're moving down. The floor in this particular space, it would be a hallway, but you can see kind of thick layers of algae have kind of begun to grow and coalesce around this spot, and then this very sort of wispy-looking seaweed. It's thick. It's closer to grass than it would be to weeds, but it's kind of swaying back and forth in this space, and you can kind of see something. All of you can't make out what it is, but you can see something kind of moving amongst it. Also, in the open rooms along the sides of the walls, you can see some more of those kind of very pale-looking fish are kind of like spinning and encircling around like the outside through like the windows that would be on the side of this ship.
Damn, those are depressed-looking fish.
Oh dear.
What do you all do? Before you, the hallway goes down to the end, and it seems to lead to another staircase as you continue.
Hey, Bio, you know that grass there?
What?
If you touch it, you'll die.
I can't really see anything.
How does it get upside down?
I'm just gonna drag Bioshi along using my thaumaturgy.
Nice, that's probably a good idea.
You know, just drag him along with thaumaturgy.
I'm going to skitter
How are you
along.
doing that with thaumaturgy?
I am creating underwater tremors that slowly push him through the water.
All right, very, very slowly. He's moving.
More or
kind of,
less.
I use the cantrip mage hand, like you know, kind of like go up and down fastly to try to just fan them in the right direction.
Yeah.
Can you just push me against the wall so I can pull myself?
So, Bioshi, you gonna try and make your own way, just kind of dragging yourself along the walls?
Very much.
All right.
Remember, the grass will kill you. Don't touch it.
So, how are you gonna proceed then? Are you gonna? Are you all just gonna like avoid this grass?
Yes.
This strange seaweed. Very well. As you're moving along it. What was that? Okay. As you're moving along it, you can see that thing that's kind of somewhere among it. You're getting out of shape. It seems to be very well sort of. It seems to be very much a part of the weeds, and as it moves, it kind of follows underneath you. You can't, like I said, tell what it is, but you can see some of the weeds are actually kind of moving with it, and are starting to move up towards the ceiling towards you. And you realize that this is actually starting to happen pretty startlingly fast, as whatever this thing seems to be moving up at you. I would like you all to roll me for initiative. It does not get a surprise round upon you.
20.
6.
GM, do it again. It should
3.
3, nice. And
We
that
got
means
this guy.
it will go last.
Easy gotcha.
So, in this instance, the first to act, which makes sense as you're at the front of the pack, is Lord Snooty McToonington. What do you wish to do?
How dare you approach the Snootington Estate's next heir! Thwack it with a stick!
All right. I would like you to make me a strength saving throw. Or I'll say this, in order to do so, you will need to move amongst the seaweed. I assume you'll do so because you've now crit.
Yes.
The seaweed kind of starts to tangle you up as you move at it, but you kind of swim through it and amongst it, and are now sort of face to face with this thing, and it looks like this awful like pale white gray crayfish that has like seaweed growing off of its back. and you are going to go ahead and make an attack against it, I assume.
Yes, I thwacked it with my cane.
All right, go ahead. That definitely hits for 5 points of damage.
And then another thwack. Wow.
Nice hits for another 10, so 15 total points of damage. As you thwack, the cane strikes down into it. It kind of lets out a...
Have at thee.
Sounds like bio.
You see some bubbles kind of fly out of its, its mouth region, but it's tough to tell what it's even got for a mouth. And you hit it pretty firmly, deal some of the shell crack. That's going to bring us, in that case, to Bioshi. What do you wish to do?
Well, he got a perception of 1, so he's just against the wall, like crawling. Okay, one hand around the other foot.
Yeah, so I'll say at the end of this turn, at the end of your turn on this round, you kind of look down and you can now see that Snooty is being like strangled and trying to be tangled up by the seaweed below, although he's definitely too buff, it seems, for him to actually do anything to him.
No, this is what I was afraid of.
In that case, that is going to bring us to Vivian. Are you moving as far as you can, I assume, along the room?
This may sound stupid as a fire, but work underwater. Because, it's like magic fire,
There's one way to find out.
Alright, I take my hands, cast a little magic spell of firebolt right at the fishy.
Alright, go ahead and make me an attack roll.
D-bolt?
Unfortunately, the flame seems to work as it courses through the water. It sort of expels pretty quickly, certainly faster than it normally does, but it works in the water, it looks like. But also, you just miss. As it kind of, you were a little bit unsure and it threw you off as it, flies into some of the seaweed, which certainly doesn't. Does
the seaweed catch on magical fire?
No, the thing would not catch on magical fire, unfortunately. Yes, steam bolt is a good word for it, as it definitely leaves kind of a trail of steam and bubbles that are moving up towards the top very quickly behind it.
Okay, I'm going to use my bonus action probably to cast another spell. Let me check, see if it's actually bonus action or not. Okay, hold on. Sorry, it's my bad. My bad. It's an action. Okay.
It's a reaction for shield.
Yep.
Definitely press that one. That was intentional. Pass turn.
Okay, cool. That's going to bring us then to Cyron. What do you wish to do?
Sacred Flame.
It is going to make a dexterity saving throw. It is extremely dexterous, but not enough for your sacred flame. As you kind of encourse it with this sudden kind of holy fire, which, again, in the relative darkness of this place, other than your headlamps, it is pitch black. So all of these things kind of just bright and flash for a moment among the deep water. As it takes 2 points of radiant damage. Anything else on your turn?
Not right now, no.
Very well. Not right now. It's ominous. This creature is going to go, and it is going to attempt to bite you, Lord Retudington.
And that fails.
And it's going to kind of swim upwards, and Bioshi and Snooty, I need both of you to make me strength saving throws.
17.
Bioshi, you feel yourself kind of, as you're climbing, the creature kind of moves up above you. It's not like moving out of your threat range, Snooty, but it's moving up and around you, and the seaweed on its body is kind of wrapping out and trying to pull you in closer to it. And Bioshi, it succeeds on you as the seaweed kind of reaches up and grabs on you, awkwardly flailing around high above it, and drags you in next to it, as you are now restrained by this creature.
I told you this thing would kill you.
And additionally, you see as some of those pale fish that were on the outside, you see a couple of larger ones float in through long ago broken panes, and they look something as your lights kind of turn on them. They look like sharks, but with just very pale red eyes, bright translucent white skin, and rows and rows of kind of like, they look like almost like blue phosphorescent rows of teeth that are going to kind of slide into this, and they seem to be opportunistic as they go in and try and take advantage of this thing attacking. They're going to move at the back of the pack. One of them is going to attack. One of them is going to attack you, Cyron, and one of them is going to attack you, Vivian. The first one is Cyron, the second one is Vivian. Classic. And those advantages actually are real. So that is a 23 against you, Cyron, and a 14 against you, Vivian.
Hits.
So you take 6 points of piercing damage, Cyron, and Vivian. There's a 14 hit.
1 second, I'm gonna see if my my reaction.
Okay.
I do my reaction shield to not get hit.
All right, very well. You watch as Vivian, amongst the water, a sudden kind of shimmering wall of force appears, blocking the shark as it goes to bite down on you. You are safe as we move back to the top of the initiative. Snooty, what do you wish to do?
I'm going to thwack it again!
All right, you started your turn within 5 feet of the creature, so I need you to make a strength saving throw as well.
Hit until it dies.
God dang it!
And you get, as you go and kind of go down to thwack it, you get caught up within the seaweed. That first attack is at disadvantage because of that, so I need you to roll it again.
Alright.
But it does not matter. You hit for 10 points of bludgeoning damage. Nice rolls.
Alright.
You can hear
And
the... Go ahead.
I'm also going to go ahead and use a key point and hit it twice. They're both at disadvantage, I'm guessing.
Yeah, absolutely.
14?
14 barely misses. Carapace on this thing seems pretty tough.
And 8.
And an 8. Unfortunately
Both
not. You swing 2 swings, 2 misses, unfortunately. But the cane strike was definitely a hardy one. Anything else on your turn, Snooty?
That will be all.
All right. That's going to bring us to Bioshi. You are restrained. What do you wish to do?
Okay. Just like they taught you at me.